The planet of Uranus is moving into the sign of Gemini on the 8th of July. And if you have been constantly getting held down by burnout, constantly getting stuck into situationships and things with your business, things with your life, then this planet is going to ask you to break free from all of that. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what this transit looks like. I would encourage you to watch that bit because that's the important bit that kind of gives you what you can expect and maybe the things that I can't go into properly in the forecast. So I would ask you to watch that bit first, but then we will dive into the 12 rising signs where we will be able to have a look at what this means for you more personally. Now, like I said, these are for your rising sign. I do use whole sign, not Placidus. So if you're using Placidus, some of the house placements might be a little bit different. But it is for your rising sign, but watch your sun sign and your moon sign too, because that will give you a bigger picture of how Uranus is going to affect you over the next 7 years. Because Uranus is a planet that spends 7 years in a sign. So it's roughly about 7 years, but it takes 84 years for Uranus to get round the whole zodiac. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of us haven't seen Uranus in Gemini. Unless you're 84, 85, we've never seen Uranus in Gemini. So a lot of us might have faced Uranus in Sagittarius, which is that'll be now coming up to your opposition, which is around the ages of 40. But a lot of us won't have seen Uranus in Gemini. If this is your first time here, my name is Jay, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This is Malik. He has decided to join you for this Uranus and Gemini video. I'm an astrologer and a business coach, and my job here, or my goal here, is to help you get out of the cycle of burnout, build a business that is actually supporting your life and not running it, yeah? So if that sounds good to you, maybe consider subscribing. Let's get into today's video. So like I said, Uranus moves into Gemini on the 8th of July. Then after that, on the 6th of September, it is going to go retrograde. When it starts to go retrograde, it will then dip its toes back into Taurus. Now this is quite important, right? Because when it dips back into Taurus, think about it, right? It's only got a short window of time to close that story, to make sure everything it wants to do in that part of your life is done. So it's going to go back through Taurus a little bit to around 27 degrees. That'll be around the 4th of February, and then it's going to go direct towards Gemini for good. So you can see you're sort of, when it comes back into Taurus, you're going backwards, you're looking over things, you're thinking back, revisiting, reconnecting, all that stuff. And then it's going to start to go forward. And this time round, it might feel a little bit more urgent. It might feel a little bit more disruptive even, or chaotic, because that's what Uranus is. But we'll go into that in a little bit. But it might feel a little bit more like that because it's trying to get it finished before it moves into Gemini. Now, it does finally move into Gemini on the 31st of May 2026, and that will be it there until I'm going to say the 22nd of May 2033. I can't read my own writing. So it's going to be there for quite a while, 7 years. Now, Uranus and Taurus and Uranus, they don't really go together. Uranus is wanting to change and it's wanting to break free and it wants to be a little bit unpredictable and awaken you from the situation you live in. Taurus wants things comfortable. It doesn't like change. It will resist change until it can no longer resist change anymore. So when Uranus is there, it doesn't really function at its best. Now, when it's in Gemini, on the other hand, that is a completely different story. Because Uranus is known as the higher octave of Mercury, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So they perform really, really well together. And, right, Malik, I can't actually see what my notes say. Let me just pull this round. I don't know if he's talking to the birds, so you can hear him. I do apologise. So Uranus as a planet, it's known as sort of electrical energy. It does rule electricity as well. It can be quite shocking, often the wild card, that Uranus really wants innovation. It doesn't want things to stay stagnant. It doesn't want things to stay still. Yeah. So if things are like that in your life just now, they could get a shake up when Uranus goes into Gemini. Unfortunately, when Uranus wants to make its presence known, there can be a little bit of upheaval, chaos, disruption. Uranus isn't going to play by the rules. Yeah, it likes to break the rules. It likes to break down walls. But it doesn't do it just for shits and giggles. Yeah? It's not doing it just to have a laugh. It's doing it because we can rebuild these walls, or we can rebuild these rules to give us more freedom, to liberate us from the things that are holding us back. So it's all for the good things, yeah? So don't think of this as scary or anything like that. It's one of these transits that you might find in the moment it's like, oh, why is this happening? But then when you look back a few years later, or a few months later even, you might be like, oh, that really did need to happen. I told that story about my breakup when Mars and Uranus were squaring, and it caused a breakup in my life that led to one of my biggest changes. So, but looking back, I can see that. At the time, it felt fucking horrible. Yeah. So it also rules extremes. Like, you might have an extreme thoughts and stuff like that are a little bit outside the box, shall we say. It rules astrology, and like I said, it's a higher octave of Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini, so it's a good segue into talking about Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, so things that move in the air, that sort of thing, Gemini is all about. Transportation is another thing, Mercury, and you always hear when Mercury goes retrograde, travel delays, all that sort of stuff. So Gemini, it's transportation and the mind. But it's not like Sagittarius, who's looking for the bigger picture. This is like your mindset, the sort of day-to-day stuff, the earlier education. Sagittarius might go to university for 7 years, yeah? Gemini will go to a workshop on a weekend. That sort of a vibe, yeah? So communication, ideas, Gemini is very, very curious. And that's what I mean about the workshop on a weekend. They need to learn so much because they're curious about so much. But it's not just curious for the sake of being curious, yeah? They are curious. Maybe it is. But a lot of the time, Gemini will feel safe when they understand things, yeah? So they need to learn loads of different little things, so that if they are in a situation where that information is called upon, they understand it. So they tend to learn loads of different things. They're very adaptable, they're very changeable. Now, a few of the not so nice sides of Gemini is they can be a little bit of a gossip, yeah? They like to know what the neighbour down the road done, or that friend done when they were in Thailand or whatever. They're there for that sort of an information. They can be a little bit unfocused, a little bit scattered. They're known as the multitasker, and some can do it very, very well. But other times, that scattered energy can it can get in the way. Yeah, it can stop your focus, and they get bored extremely easy. Like, you've got this person or this sign that wants you to learn loads of different little things about loads of different things. So when you've got such a wide variety of things, and you're so used to being adaptable and flexible and change, if you're staying still for any length of time, it can get boring quite quickly, yeah? Now, when you put the two of these together, you've got Uranus, who wants to awaken us, who wants to bring that. You've got Gemini, who's quite fast, quite flexible, quite curious. You're going to see people waking up a lot quicker, yeah? A lot more people are going to start to waken up to the things that are happening around about them a lot quicker than when Uranus was in Taurus. You might find that your thoughts are a little bit racy at times. You might find like, oh, I can't actually keep up with all these thoughts. I think one of the biggest things is we're going to see AI come round in a big way. The thing is, we've also got Pluto in Aquarius, who is a lot about tech. And I think, I'm going to mention this later, but there's a trine being made between Pluto and Uranus. So there's going to be developments in that area. Yeah? Good or bad, there's going to be developments in that area. And I think Pluto will help us see the not so good sides of AI, but also help us see the good sides so that we can focus more. I think during this time, global truths, this is when it's 7 years to transit a sign. This is not just on a personal level. Yes, out of all the outer planets, Uranus does have quite a personal effect on us, but it's not just personal. This is generational because it's over 7 years. Yeah? So it's more, it affects the collective. It's a lot for the collective. So I do see a lot of truths, maybe misinformation. I think with Gemini being so about our communication, we might start to ditch our old patterns. We might adopt new patterns, unexpected patterns. Don't worry, I don't think we're all going to be starting to talk about the Riz and the Shiz and the toilet skiz and whatever that stuff is. Ohio, I don't know what that is. That's not my generation. We might adopt it. I doubt it, but you might find things like that coming up. I think with Gemini are very, very good at getting stuck in their head when they're not happy, when they're having to understand things and they don't quite feel safe to go to their head. Now, I think you need to be grounded throughout this time. We need to remind ourselves that we're in this present moment, and doing that is going to help you, but not doing that could leave you feeling a bit frazzled. Yeah, Uranus energy is electric. You're getting a lot of thoughts, and you could feel that kind of frazzled way. I think for social media as well, we're going to see changes. Do I think social media will still look the way it looks just now? Possibly not. I think some platforms might fall away. I think new platforms will emerge that will totally take off. Yeah? And I think they'll be not like what we have just now. I think they'll be completely different from this. So I think you might see that landscape changing. It might even be changing how we actually do it. There's all this VR stuff coming around. We're starting to see signs of that. These sort of things might tie in. Hello. These things might start to tie in to things going forward to social media. The other thing I think is going to see a major change. If you can hear Malik, he's found a bird that he's shouting at. One of the other big things I think he's going to see a big massive change throughout his time is the education system. Gemini is the sort of rules that early education, like the high school, sort of primary school or elementary school if you're over in the States. It's the earlier education, the foundational skills, if you like. And I think we're going to see massive changes, whether that will be through, you don't actually go to a school, you do it online, or I just see there's going to be changes, and I think tech will be a big involvement with that one. I think blogs, podcasts, these are going to become, again, we kind of did see them rise a little before. I think they're now going to become even more crucial. I think more people are going to start to have their own personal blog where they document their lives and stuff like that, or share bits and bobs. Whereas more, Gemini likes to broadcast things. They also like to find out the gossip. So there might be more like gossip blogs and all that sort of stuff popping up around this time. And I think with a few of the signs that it's in your money house, I would be saying becoming content creator is a good idea. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with Uranus and Gemini, and it's not, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. It's a lot about the mind, the mindset, your communication, but there's a lot of collective stuff. AI, education, transport. I think the way that we move around the world just now, that is definitely going to get an upgrade. We might even find space travel. Who knows what it's going to look like. Uranus is a bit of an inventor, likes to do things the weird and wacky, so you never know what transport is going to come. But I definitely see some developments happening over the next 7 years. So let's talk about the transits that are coming with this. Venus, when Taurus moves into Gemini, Venus is going to be quite close by. She's keeping an eye on him. She's like, you behave yourself while I'm here. Wait till I'm out, right? And I think that is what we will see. We might see subtle things. Yeah? When I was talking about Mars square Uranus, it usually has to be activated for these big disruptive events to happen. But you might see subtle things or subtle changes. It might feel like a vibe shift. You might start to think, oh, you could start to get more awakened to the mind around this time. But I think Venus is there. There could be some stuff around love, money, relationships, sensual pleasure in life, the things we enjoy, our desires, that sort of a thing. There might be something starting to waken up around these themes because Venus is following Uranus as he moves into Gemini. Now, the big thing to talk about here is for the first year, 2 years of this transit, there's a few aspects that are pretty constant. There's a sextile being made to Saturn in Aries. That isn't going to be the longest one. That will probably be the quickest one because Saturn will break away from the conjunction with Neptune, and he'll get a little bit faster than Uranus. That also means that if he's in a conjunction with Neptune, Neptune is also in a sextile with Uranus. What does this mean? Well, a sextile is like a window of opportunity, if you like. It's like, okay, you could have this, but you need to do this. So this is going to look like breaking away from things, breaking the chains, or setting more boundaries, or being a little bit more idealized, romanticizing things a little bit more. When you start to do this, you start to activate this little window of opportunity where you start to get the support of Uranus and you start to get the support of Saturn. There's 3 planets at play here. I think Saturn and Neptune will work closer together because they're in a conjunction. So you've got these sextiles, and you're going to have that opportunity to rebuild and restructure and go after those big dreams during the first 2 years of this transit. This is really key time. Now, also trine, we're going to make Uranus is also going to be making a trine to Pluto in Aquarius. And that's pretty much, that is a long, long one. That's, I think, the first year, maybe 2 years. I'm not sure the exact day, but it's going to make a big long trine to Pluto. Pluto's all about power, your control, your transformation in this life. Uranus wants you to break free. You're going to find it easier, effortless, baby, because trines are harmonious and effortless. You might find it easier and effortless to take back your power, to rebuild the structures, because they're all communicating, these 3 planets. Even Pluto is making a sextile to Saturn and Neptune. So they're all working together throughout this whole time. And it's positive. These are positive aspects. I think this is a positive transit. It might not feel it at times, but it is a positive transit. And I suppose there is something I need to talk about, but I'm going to come to that, Lastly, there's all these positive aspects, right? They're good. Between the control, power, transformation, boundaries, dreams, and breakthroughs, There's all these supportive aspects going on right now. And I know I'm sort of brushing over this because I'm sure I will create further videos on this, But the last thing I'll say about the other planets is Mercury. Mercury is going to be the ruler of Uranus during this time he is in Gemini. He's going to be the ruler. And that means that if Uranus is the higher octave, Mercury is going to become a lot more important. A lot of people don't give Mercury its place because it is just kind of flies through the zodiac so quickly. And then it goes retrograde 3 times a year, which causes problems. These retrograde periods, I feel, are going to be much more important. They're going to be much more important over the next 7 years. Because these retrogrades, they do affect Gemini and they do affect Virgo. And I think they're going to affect more of the collective with Uranus being in Gemini. So I think Mercury retrograde is going to become a much bigger thing over the next 7 years. That's, again, retrograde periods, they're about looking back, revisiting, reconnecting, looking. Now, Mercury retrograde, because of that transportation link, the communication, it's like the tech and stuff like that. You do sometimes see tech glitches, or you do sometimes, I think there was an Instagram tech glitch around one last year, and it actually caused people to lose loads of followers. So there's a lot of things like that, I think these things are going to become Mercury's, watch what he's up to. Another thing to mention about Mercury, actually, is on the ingress, he's going into Leo. I'm not sure of the exact date. He's going to go into Leo. Now, Mercury can fly through a sign, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and he's usually through a sign. He's going to be in Leo for 2 months. He's not going to move out of Leo until September. He has, over the last few months, he's expended all his energy. He needs to recharge. Just as Uranus moves into his sign. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. You can see here, now when Mercury's in Leo, it's bold communication. That's owning your self-expression, speaking your truth. There's going to be people doing that. And it might waken you up with Uranus moving into Gemini. Yeah, so just be aware of these things and pay attention to Mercury retrograde. Remember, when Uranus goes there, Mercury's in shadow to go retrograde. So this one thing from the 30th of June onwards, start to take notes about what's happening with these sort of themes, because that is going to lead you to have an idea of what Mercury wants you to work on. And it could help you awaken to things which will help with whatever Uranus is wanting you to get from this transit. Now, there is one part of this transit which I have been avoiding throughout this video because I don't do world astrology. I don't talk about it yet a lot. It's because I'm not the best place to talk about it. I don't really follow politics. I don't really know much about politics. It's never been my strong point. Yeah? A lot of that sort of stuff I do tend to see as fear-mongering. I don't really like it. Yeah? However, I have to mention, because I feel like I would be doing you a disservice not to mention it. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was around World War II, 1942. Again, my history is not the best, so I'm going to say I think that was before it started. Now, Neptune in Aries is involved here. The last time Neptune was in Aries was like 1861. Which was the start of the American Civil War. Now, what does Neptune, when it comes to that sort of stuff, represent? Idealizing, ideologies. Uranus can go extreme. Yeah? This is why I feel like I'd be doing you a disservice not to mention this. Because you can look out for extreme ideologies. Yeah? Now, Saturn's there with Neptune. What does that mean? Okay, you want to do that? Go for it. But make sure it's structured and all that stuff. Now, this is it again. I am not wanting to bring fear to anybody here. Yeah? But I have to explain it. I have to say what I can get from this. And with Saturn and Neptune together, which is all about idealizing and these more, with Uranus there, extreme ideologies maybe surfacing around this time, that's something to pay attention to. Not to mention, Mars rules Aries. Mars is known as the god of war. Yeah? So you have to be aware of it. And I think the way the world is just now, there is a lot of things there that could be potential for these things. Yeah? But just remember, with all astrology transits, you have the freedom to do your own thing. Yeah? You can sit there and worry about all these things and not live your life, or you can use this energy for good. Yeah, you can work with the energy and use it to vibrate at a higher frequency and not use it to bring you down. Yeah, and use it for good. Use Uranus's awakening for good. Use Saturn and Neptune make you go after the dreams that make something to you. Is there wanting to cause chaos? Yeah? You have that choice. Unfortunately, there are people out there that won't see it like that, and there are people out there that might, which could, but you have the choice on how you react to it. Yeah? And how you deal with it. I don't know what the next few years is going to look like. I'm not going to make any predictions here, but you have got Saturn and Neptune working together. Neptune, there's that deception, idealizing, that sort of a thing. Saturn's like, okay, bring structure, bring boundaries, make sure you've got all this shit together. Aries is like, go. Now, Uranus, breakthroughs, communication, misinformation, propaganda, that sort of a thing. There's definitely, and then Pluto, who is in Aquarius, who's wanting to fight for the people, like to expose the government and expose where power is being misused and abused and all that stuff. You have the ingredients here for something that could turn into conflict. But I'm not here to make that prediction. I am not the person who knows politics well enough. I am not that person. So I want to give you it, the information as information, yeah? So that you are aware of what could be going on with the other energies at play here. But I'm not the man to give you that prediction, and I'm not going to attempt it. So I just feel like it is the elephant in the room, if you like, with this transit, because the last time, look at what happened. But history comes with receipts. Yeah, we can see where we went wrong by looking back when Uranus was in Gemini, with miscommunication, with propaganda, and all that stuff. So let's do the right thing this time. Let's make it better this time. Yeah? Okay, thank God that's out of the way. Let's get into the 12 sign readings. Like I said before at the start of this video, make sure you watch for your sun, moon, and rising to get a bigger picture of what's actually going on. And if you're watching this and you're like, Jay, I would love to book a reading with you. I'd love to see what else you've got going on. I'll leave some links down in the description. If you feel the need to book a reading or do anything like that from watching this video, please do. I'd love to speak to you on a deeper level and get to know you a little bit. So I'll leave that information down in the description, but let's get into the 12 sign reading. Okay, Aries, sun, moon, and rising. Uranus is coming into your third house, which is all about communication, your siblings, your local community, short distance travel. For you, I think with Uranus coming into Gemini, you're going to get an increase of ideas. They're going to be fast as well. I think you could be one of the signs that will feel that racing thoughts a little bit more. Try and take notes as much as you can here. You might find that throughout this time, the chats that you have with siblings, the chats you have with extended family or in your local community, these could lead to your biggest breakthroughs. Now, I've wrote at the side of this one, what was going through my head was that way where you're maybe at a family gathering or something, and that uncle who's maybe had a bit too much to drink is starting to tell you something, and you're like, these sort of things might actually, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? But take notes, because these sort of things might actually be the thing that leads you. That's the thing with Uranus, it's unexpected, it's unpredictable. A lot of the times for astrologers, we say expect the unexpected, but we try and give you some information. But do think about it like that drunk uncle giving you all his wisdom, and you're like, okay, but this time take notes. Yeah, because that might be the thing that leads you to that breakthrough. Yeah. I think you might feel a little bit braver, Aries. You are one of the bravest signs. You're the one who goes first. So I think you're going to be a little bit more braver with the things you say during this time. And I think you'll say what needs to be said. And again, with that responsibility, with that, what's the word I'm looking for? With that, you need to be responsible with it, is what I'm getting at, yeah? One thing to watch out for. This third house is all about the mind, the earlier sort of foundational mind, the surface level, yeah? Overthinking is a thing with Gemini, especially if they don't feel safe. You might find if you don't feel safe, or you feel, instead of just wanting to act and be like a pressure cooker, you might find that you want to get stuck in your head. You might find you get stuck in your head, that it leads to procrastination and all these things. I think with you, there might be, because of the amount of ideas that are coming around, you might bounce from bit to bit to idea to idea to idea to idea, and not settling in anything. I think because you are braver around this time, you might overshare a little, which could lead to maybe some conflict, and could lead to maybe miscommunication. So just be careful with that, Aries. And for your business, if you are a business owner, your message is going to be really important around this time, because you've got so many ideas going on. I'd like to say, think about it like a spark of genius. Like you're like, oh, that's an amazing idea. And I think you're going to have a lot more of them throughout this 7 years. So instead of just doing nothing with it, create content, make your messaging, refine that message, because with Uranus in your third house and doing the work and stuff like that, that could become really, really polished, making you get more attraction, making you attract more of the right people too. So yeah, I think just watch out for things with siblings in the local community. But I think getting out in the local community, being heard in the local community, saying your thing in the local community, doing your bit, I think that's going to be a good thing for you over the next 7 years, Aries. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you want to book a reading, go down into the description. I'll leave information there. I don't call them readings. The reason I don't is because I feel like I don't just sit and read you. We do intensives. We work together on this to work out what's actually going on. So if you fancy that, come down and book a one-to-one with me and we will go through your chart. Thank you very much, Aries. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you are up next. And it's Uranus and Gemini is moving into your second house, which is all about your income, your way you earn money, your material possessions, your values, your self-worth. And it's more about how you get worth from your material possessions. The second house is normally ruled by Taurus, which is your house, yeah? So it's all about comfort and stability. Security from material things as well. Yeah, food actually comes into here as well, because some people emotionally eat, and that's usually a Taurian thing. So I have Venus in Taurus, I know. So during this time, you might find that new unexpected income streams come your way. This could, like, I was kind of saying to Aries about hearing things from a drunk uncle. Yeah. I think this could be similar. Like, you might learn about an income stream in the most craziest way. Like, usually, like, a lot of people think about these things, they think, oh, go onto YouTube, watch a few videos, or go and learn, or go to a course, or do this, or do that. I think you could be walking in down at the local shop, getting your messages, and somebody tells you something, and you're like, whoa, that is amazing. Yeah? I think the things like that could happen that could bring you new unexpected income streams during this time. I think you're going to redefine what security means to you. Yeah? That comfort and stability. I think you're going to redefine what that looks like in your life throughout this transit. You might bring more variety instead of just being totally stable and all that thing. You might have, not like, unless you're going to be unstable, you might, but I'm not saying that, yeah? I mean, you just might need more variety to make things more stable, yeah? Like, the boredom thing might become a thing, so just be careful with that. I think you're going to learn a lot of new skills that are going to lead to more cash flow throughout this time, through 7 years. Again, Gemini can be about focus is here, yeah? Do not have hundreds of income streams, all trying to start them all at once. Focus on one, and then make it work, and then move on, yeah? Because Gemini are very guilty of one, oh, shiny new object, let's go here. Oh, shiny new object, let's go here. Just be careful with that over this time. The not so great things with this transit, I would say, is that unpredictableness. Yeah, Uranus is unpredictable. That could be unpredictable with your finances. You might feel impulsive spending during this time. You might buy a lot more stuff. Like Gemini, they like to know everything about everybody. So they might go in and buy more stuff so they have the stuff to keep up with everybody. Yeah, so just be careful with that as well. Old self-worth stories. This is a good time for you to sort of break free from things that are holding you back, to liberate yourself, yeah, from them old self-worth stories. But to do that, you need to look back at them. You need to, okay, why do I feel the way I do? How do I make myself feel more worthy? How do I build a stronger sense of self? I think you might reinvent that throughout this next 7 years, Taurus. And I know I need to say this for you, Taurus, because you are the sign that does not like change when it comes to their material and their finances and all that stuff. We don't like change. There's going to be change over the next 7 years. I can't see what it's going to look like. I can't be like really, really specific about it. But there's going to be change to your finances, your stability, your security, your self-worth. Remember what I said at the start of this video. You have the freedom to make it work for you. Yeah? The thing with Uranus is it's not like coming in and just breaking things apart. If you've not been aware of things, it might look like that. But what tends to happen, and this is why it's key to be aware, is you start to learn little subtle things with Uranus over time. Then, when it gets to a transit like Mars is squaring Uranus, well, you're prepared now because you've seen it build up. You've seen the subtle changes. You've seen the subtle resistance and the tensions of things that aren't working. You're more prepared by the time it starts to strip things away. Yeah, you can stop it stripping things away by stripping them away yourself. but you have to take that yourself. Though if you just wait until, right, Mars square Uranus, or that's the one I'm using because we're just past that one. But it's like, oh no, actually, have we? No, I think that's this weekend. Yeah, you have that choice. You don't need to wait for Mars square and Uranus to be able to break free from something. You can do it. Yeah? Don't sit on it when you start to see the signs. For your business, this is going to be a time for you to monetize message. Yeah? The words you speak, the way you think, your thoughts. Good chance a lot of Taurus people will become thought leaders that get paid very, very well from this transit, because their message is going to become more magnetic, and because they will monetize it, they could make a significant amount of income. Now, will that happen for every Taurus? I don't know. They might. Depends where you are on this journey. Yeah? If you are at the stage where you can work with the energy and you know how to use it, then you can work with it. To do that, I'm not saying everything's going to work, but there's definitely a chance that you could work on your message and monetize it. Taurus, this has been your Uranus transit. If you want to book a one-to-one with me, come down into the description. I'll leave all the information there where you can dive into your chart. I don't really do readings because I like to work with you on this so we can come up with a way and work through your chart rather than just reading. Yeah, I don't really like that kind of a style. I would rather work with you. Let's use this energy for good. So if that sounds good, come down and I'll leave the links in the description. But Taurus, sorry, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Uranus and Gemini, it's moving into your sign. Your first house, your rising sign. This is going to have an impact on you. Your body, your physical appearance, the way you attract people to you, all that sort of stuff is getting an update. And the way I've wrote this down is you're the plot twist that nobody's seen coming. Yeah? Because it's unexpected, it's unpredictable, and that is all around you. Yeah? You're going to be going through some mindset shifts. You're going to be going through building new beliefs. I think if you're into the manifestation space and you're all about embodying your beliefs to become the person you need to become, which is something I'm all about, by the way. If you're in that space where you're embodying these beliefs, I think that'll become a little bit easier. You might try and embody a lot more though, so be careful with that. I think around this time as well, you might go and change your hairstyle, change your style of clothes, all that stuff. That might become a thing because it is the physical stuff as well. How you show yourself to the world. You might get, I think with Uranus, it might make you want to be a little bit more out there than, say, a sign like Taurus, who'll maybe have I think it'll be more wackier. And a good way. You're not going to do anything that's uncomfortable for you, yeah? But if you do feel yourself going, like, that's a little bit extreme hairstyle for me, but I like it, I would do it, yeah? You might also find that your body changes through this time, yeah? Like, you might, if you're trying to lose weight, you could have radical weight loss or you could have radical weight gain. So just be careful. There's like, whatever way you choose to approach this, then just remember there's that extremes here, yeah? So that could be a thing as well. I think for you, I'll come back to that. I think for you, this whole is about reclaiming your space, reclaiming your energy, doing the things, saying the things that need to be said, Gemini. Yeah? One thing for you, you need to be careful that you're not getting stuck in your head, you're not getting stuck overthinking, because there is that potential here for an identity crisis of some description, shape, or form. Because you're changing so much. There's so much going on, like with your mindset, your beliefs, the way you show up to the world, the way you put yourself out there. I think if you're not got a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel or something, that is something I would definitely consider during this time. And remember, like when it comes to business, you are the brand. Yeah? You attract your tribe. And remember that. Who do you want to attract? Start working towards that. Because that is going to help you with that. Taking the responsibility and not letting it start to rule you where you feel like things are changing and you have no control. Take that responsibility. Do the work. Do the things so that you become your brand. So that even if you're not that business, but you become the brand of you, that's people are like, oh, that's that guy, that's that girl. Do you know what I mean? Like, really working on that throughout this time. Health-wise, there could be stuff, your hands, your your hands, things that there's two of, lungs, these sort of things, you might feel like that. Also, with health problems, actually, the nervous system kind of does, because Mercury kind of, Uranus as well. Watch the nervous system as well, I would say. Lungs, hands, nervous system, that sort of a thing could be a thing around this time. I think for you, Gemini, is like, watch the person who is behind the scenes, the Gemini. Make sure you're bringing them out. Start to integrate that. Don't be scared of it. Yeah? People want to see who you are behind the scenes. And I think with any sort of a YouTube blog, any of these things, and you start to document your life, you become the brand, and you start to show elements. I'm not saying you have to become a reality TV at the start or anything like that throughout this thing. Like, give them enough, but don't leave them longing for a season 2. Yeah? That sort of an energy. But let them see glimpses from behind the scenes. Integrate bits that you feel comfortable integrating. I was going to say something and I can't really remember what it was. There's something about, yeah. That must be all you need to hear about this, Gemini. So yeah, like I said, you are the one that's going through the change here. Things could feel a little bit unpredictable. Things could feel a little bit unexpected. Things are going to come in the most unexpected of ways. You might find yourself being more out there, that sort of a thing. Gemini, that's your Uranus and Gemini reading. And if you have any questions, let us know what's going on for you down in the comments. If you want to book a one-to-one reading with me, I really like calling them readings. They're more of intensives because I don't sit there and read you. We work with your chart together to build a plan to go forward with your business, or just to give you a little deep dive into your chart. So come and see me. I'll leave the descriptions down below, Gemini. Have an awesome week. Cancer, Sun, Moon and Rising. For you, we are going into your 12th house. The house of the hidden. Yeah? The bit that you don't really see. The unconscious, subconscious part of you. This is where Uranus is going to be shaking things up, making changes. What does that look like? I think for you, this is going to be more intuitive thoughts, more intuitive downloads, if you like. But for you, the best thing to do, take notes on everything that comes in here, because one of them could be that one that just changes everything. Which kind of means that with the 12th house, it's all about being behind the closed doors, yeah? Being a little bit more alone. And I think that that's when you've got that quiet time, you've got the time to be with your thoughts, and you can let things happen with your mind. This is when things are going to come through. This is where things are going to start to materialize in your head with Uranus going through your 12th house. You might find from being in that rest and that solitude with these information coming through, you might find that you discover hidden talents, things that you were like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'd never thought about that. You might have been like, maybe as a child you played the piano, but you've not fell away from it. You don't even know what the keys are anymore, but then all of a sudden you start playing piano like you've played it for years. Like that sort of a thing could like really start to come through. And it's going to come through from doing rest, meditation, being on your own, taking that time for solitude. It may even come through your dreams. I think your spiritual beliefs, your spiritual practices, your spiritual things, they might get an upgrade, or you might start to reinvent these things over the next few years, Cancer. So I think for you, spiritual practices is going to be a thing. And I think the 12th house is important to you around this time. There is things that you're going to learn from this 12th house. It's going to be not relying on other people and going more inwards, spending more time alone. Your self-worth here. Look at patterns where you self-sabotage. Uranus doesn't want you to self-sabotage. Yeah, it wants you to break free from that because that holds you back. It wants to liberate you from that. This might bring up some wounds. Some things may surface that have been buried deep around this time for you to heal and clear and move on from. Yeah? And to integrate that shadow into your waking life. So there could be things like that going on for you. You might get sleep disturbances around this time. Nightmares could be a thing. Vivid dreaming could be a thing. But what I would say when it comes to these things is look at them. Yeah? Deal with them. Don't just think, oh God, that's terrible. Oh, yeah? Actually take the notes, do the things and try and interpret them, because you're going to be getting a lot of stuff through sleep and dreams. So learning how to look through your dreams. If you want me to do some videos on that, let me know. Not that I'm the best at it, but I do have a rough idea that I could do a couple of videos on it. These sort of things could really help. Don't avoid being alone. I think you may get a pull for that. And that's going to become really, really important. You don't need other people around all the time, Cancer. You don't have to be the mother all the time, Cancer. So for your business, stop forcing things. Yeah? You don't need a new strategy. You don't need all this stuff. You just need to be you. Yeah? That's not saying don't do anything. It's just don't force it. Yeah? Remember, rest, solitude. I always say, when I talk about manifestation specifically, I always say you've got two sides of the scales. Spot the Libra rising. Two sides of the scales. One side's your masculine energy and one side's your feminine energy. When these are imbalanced, you stop getting that manifestation. You stop things coming to you. When it's balanced, that's when you start to embody and you start to move and get the things that you're trying to attract. Yeah? Now, all through our lives, we do this unconsciously. But when these are balanced and you're starting to attract the things, yeah? So your masculine energy is like your doing energy. Your feminine energy is your receptive energy, your being energy. And that is where a lot of people mess up. They sit thinking we have to get the new strategy, we have to do the new things, we have to get all the blogs, podcasts, YouTube channels, all these things, and they're doing, burnout. Whereas when they're here, and they're being more free and more restful and more letting things come in naturally, being more creative, creating white space on their calendar instead of creating no space on their calendar. And that is when these brilliant ideas start to come through, Cancer. Yeah? That's where you're going to have to lean into with Uranus there to get the breakthroughs. Yeah? You're going to have to be more creative and be more restful during this time. Cancer, that is your Uranus Gemini reading. If you want to book an intensive with me, where, like I said, I don't do traditional readings. I like to do it more where we work as a team. We work through your chart. We get all the information. We get a plan to move forward so you can work with the energy with clarity and confidence. Yeah? So if that sounds good, I'll leave all the information down below. And have an awesome week. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 11th house with Uranus and Gemini. This is going to bring, this house is all about your friends, your communities, your goals, your aspirations, your social networks, networking, and all that sort of stuff. And I think during this time, you could definitely be attracting a new type of friend. Maybe the unexpected people. The way I'm kind of seeing this is at school, when there's the wee person who sits on their own all the time, doing their own thing. You might start to want to befriend them, but not as in a sort of sympathetic way, that you actually maybe find a connection that you're like, this is the most craziest thing. I would never put myself with this person, but I really enjoy spending time with them. I think that sort of a thing could become more frequent throughout this time. With that, you could also see yourself distancing yourself from other friend groups that maybe you no longer align with, or that you no longer really gel with the same during this time. So your friendship groups are definitely going to be going through some major changes throughout this time. And I do think Uranus is that, like, unique individual, the weird one. That could be the new style of friends that you're going for. Yeah? I think when it comes to, we kind of said this at the intro, but like that bigger vision becomes very, very important. Uranus is a visionary. Yeah? The 11th house is that visionary aspect. Because it's that goals, dreams, aspirations, but not the day-to-day things. This is the big things. The bigger path, the bigger vision, where you're going. That comes into the 11th house. And are you going after that? Or are you sitting back thinking, I'll go for this because this is what I can have? That is holding you back from your vision. That is when Uranus will not like it. That is when you'll see the subtle changes. And if you don't take the action, something will fall away that'll make, we need to do this now. Be clear on what that big vision is. Be very clear on what your big vision is. And start to take the steps to move towards it, Leo. You can have it. I think around this time, if your big vision includes any shape, form of social media, this is a brilliant thing to do it while Uranus is transiting your 11th house. your 11th house. So this is a brilliant time for that energy, to put content out, to make sure that you're engaging and to make sure you're sharing your unique perspective. Not becoming the copycat creator that puts out the same content as 100 different other people. Yeah? You want to actually put out content that actually moves the needle, and that is unique. Nobody wants to watch the same video 13,000 times. Yeah? So put out content that is actually unique. That is going to really help you. And I think Uranus will help you do that over this time. Like I said, you might outgrow your friends. You might have some unexpected goodbyes, but your future might feel a little bit unpredictable. Like I said, Uranus wants you to go for the bigger vision here. If you're not going for that bigger vision, it might feel a little bit unstable. Like, I don't know, like, I know I can have this, so I'm doing it. I feel this is where I should be, but there's this. It could feel a little bit unpredictable, especially if you're not going. For you, when it comes to your business, Leo, the biggest thing for you is to go after community. Make sure there's a community aspect to your business. It's so important for you, Leo, with this transit in your 11th house. And I think community is going to become more important, and your community will change and evolve throughout this time. So if you're a content creator, if you're a coach, if you're any of these businesses that I tend to work with, then I would say add a community aspect. It's something that I'm taking very, very seriously going forward. But I think it's very, very important for you as a business owner as well. Leo, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. So if you want to come and work with me one-to-one, like I said in other ones, I don't tend to do readings as such. I like to work with you. We go in, we deep dive into your chart together, and we create a plan and an action plan to move forward. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave all the information down in the description. There's other things down there that I'm up to as well, so you can go and check them out as well. But have an awesome week, Leo. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 10th house. This is your career, your public recognition, your legacy, even ambitions. Like, not quite the 11th house visions, but definitely some sort of like what you strive for in your career, what you strive for your business. These sort of things come into focus with the 10th house. With Uranus going through there, you might see yourself having some like unexpected career shifts. Like, you could walk into work one day and the boss might go like that. It's time for you to step up. You're going to take over this team. Like, that sort of a thing could happen throughout this time, which will bring you more into alignment with where you want to go. If you aren't a business, you might obviously, there could be this like sort of a control dynamic with your boss that could, like, you need to break free, you need to liberate yourself during this time. And it makes you want to, like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't be under this authority. It's time for me to do something different. It's time for me to look at a new path, which could make you then move down the line of business and that sort of a thing. I think that could be a very 10th house thing. And I think that would do well around this time with Uranus on your side. I think you've got, with the 10th house, it is a lot about public recognition as well. It's your visibility in this world. And when you've got Uranus there, helping you, you've got that chance of more breakthrough content. You've got that chance of more breakthrough visibility. Yeah. So it's a really good time to think about to share your thoughts, to share your ideas, and to share all that stuff. You become the unexpected thought leader. Yeah. Around this time. And I think because you're taking a new direction, a new like path around this time, I think that could lead to people being more attracted. They'll be like, oh, did you see what they're doing? That's amazing. Like, I couldn't have done anything like that. That's brilliant. I think you might get a lot of things like that from your peers and people that see you maybe more closely. But I think as well, it's going to attract your audience. I think this is a good time to be working on building an audience over the next 7 years. And a lot of people, they think, oh, let's build an audience in 30 days. And yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it's good way, shape, and form. Like, can't speak. It's good for some folk to do that. Yeah. Do you need to do that? Is it likely that you'll do that? Probably not. Yeah. Like, for me to build the audience I have, I've got, at the time of this, I've got 1,100 followers. And that has taken me, with 15 years experience in marketing and sales, there's a number of factors here. But it's taken me, like, I started this YouTube channel in September. And a lot of that time I was burnt out. Yeah. A lot of that time I was burnt out. And there was things there that slowed growth. But it took me that length of time. And that's fast. Believe me. I've seen this with bigger accounts and bigger people and bigger things when I work with agency clients. That is fast. Yeah. So don't be coming onto social media or blogs or whatever, YouTube, and thinking that you're going to go viral. Yeah. One, you don't need to go viral. I have had clients, even when I had less than 100 subscribers. So you don't need to go viral. You just need to be seen by the right people. And why was I going down that route? I have no idea. But so, yeah, putting yourself for a thought leader, but don't get stuck on the, I'm going to become viral in the next 30 days. Like, you don't need to become viral to do that. Yeah? You don't need to be viral. The thing is, I always say, if you're going content creator route, the viral stuff tends to pay off a little bit better. If you're going the coach route, where you're more like educator sort of a route, then you don't need the high numbers, because you're going to make your money from your stuff, not from ads and brand deals and all that stuff, which does require the views. So there's two different audiences here. And when I've worked with content creators, it is more about getting the more views, but you can do that with the topic and stuff like that. And it's just a different way of doing things. Yeah. So knowing which way you want to go is definitely going to be a thing here. Like I said, there could be a little bit of job instability, overthinking. I think overthinking, Virgo, for you could be the thing that slows you down. Getting stuck in your head here, because you're a mutable sign like Gemini. You're ruled by Mercury like Gemini. Getting stuck in your head here, having racing thoughts, all that stuff could be a thing over this time with Uranus and Gemini. And that is going to be the thing that delays your growth. That's going to be the thing that delays you starting. That's going to be there. And you don't need perfection here. Yeah? You don't need perfection. I have been putting content out online for 15 years. And even today, on this day that I record this video, I do not class myself as perfect. I do not class these videos as perfect. You don't need to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. And don't be afraid of shocking people. I've wrote that down as well, because you probably will shock people throughout this time. Okay, Virgo, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. If you want to book a one-to-one intensive with me where we can work through your business, start to look at that new path, and we can start to work together on that, then come down and connect with me on Instagram. Let's have a chat if you want to look at maybe coaching, or you can book a one-to-one with me. The links are all down there in the description, and I'd love to sit down with you and work through this with you. But Virgo, that's your Uranus and Gemini reading. Have an awesome week. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 9th house. The 9th house is it's about the way you see the world, the way you interact with the world, your beliefs, your perspective. Sometimes can make you want to go back to school. It's not like the 3rd house and it's more the sort of foundational skills. It's more like deepening. Let's increase the worldview here. Yeah? Let's get deep in the bigger picture of things. You might find yourself doing that, going back to school around this time, and it might be for something completely different than what the rest of your life has looked like up until this point. You might be like, that crazy botanic course that I've never thought about in my life, I'm actually going to do that. I quite like being around nature, and I would love to go and do that. I can see something like that for you, Libra, around this time. With that, you might, if you're into the manifestation space and you're starting to embody that new identity, that new belief system, that might find easier if it's taking you towards where you want to go in life. You might find that a little bit easier around this time to embody your beliefs. I think traveling and studying for you, like we said, with the education with this, there's going to be big changes to the way we learn. And I think that online education is going to be a bigger thing over the next 7 years as well. So I think for you, traveling or studying is going to upgrade things for you. It's going to bring more purpose to your life. It's going to bring new perspectives, new beliefs, new shifts that you need to have. You might look at new spiritual, religious beliefs as well around this time. You might find that you may be focused on traditional, like Christian or whatever, the Catholic faith. But at this time, you might start to look at maybe more science-based or these sort of things. You might change your belief system around this time, which could lead you to have like a sort of faith crisis, if you like. You might start to think, oh, well, I've gone over this, this doesn't make any sense, whatever. And that could happen around this time. Just be careful. It is Gemini energy. Yeah. You might go one way and then go the next way and then go this way and go back and forth and bounce to new things, which can create that overthinking and over stuff. So try and be as focused as you can around this time, Libra. For your business, for you, the best bit of advice is going to be to document what you're doing, document what you're learning, document all this stuff. Yeah. Like, you don't want to give people enough that they need a season 2, but you want to give them little glimpses of what's going on, what you're working on, all these things, because that's going to attract people to you. Because I don't know, Libra, but there's like 100 content creators out there that talk about health and fitness, but the ones that tend to do well are the ones that are actually documenting their journey, because they're different, because nobody's journey is the same. So lean into that here, Libra. Libra, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. If you want to book a one-to-one intensive with me where we can go in a deep dive, I don't really do traditional readings where I'll sit and read you. I tend to do intensives where we sit and work through your chart, we work through it together, and we build an action plan that you can take going forward. So if that sounds good, you maybe want to look at documenting your life, because the ninth house is publishing as well. So if you want to maybe look at that and look at how you could use that in your business or whatever, or if you just want to get a deep dive into your chart, I'll leave all the links in the description. And have an awesome week, and I will see you in the next one, Libra. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are coming into your 8th house. This is another one of these hidden houses. The darker sort of stuff hides here. The shadow sides hide here. The fears hide here. It's also the stuff you share with other people, though. Tends to be your finances. It's a finance house as well. So, but it's the resources that you share with other people, which can sometimes lead to the more shadow sides, the more power, the more control issues that can sometimes arise. Yeah? During this time with Uranus going through here, you might sort of have that unexpected healing. Yeah? Like wounds might come up, or traumas might come up as a way of dealing with them, and you might find yourself just dealing with it and getting through with it and be like, oh, I actually feel so much better dealing with that now, and I wasn't expecting it to be like that. I could see things like that happening for you throughout this time, Scorpio. You might also, like, if there's been like control issues or control patterns, you might find yourself just being like, especially if it's been from like a partner or something, you might find yourself, do you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not being controlled here. Or if you're the one doing the controlling, you might say, this just needs to stop. I could see you breaking free from these patterns. Remember, Uranus is about liberating. So if you are the one being controlled, you might liberate yourself from that. Or if you're the one doing the controlling, you might be like, no, I don't need other people. I want to be free here. So I'm not going to do that anymore. That could be a thing that comes up through this time. You might also find, I have to touch on the not so nice side of the 8th house here, but you might find unexpected money coming your way. Big chunks of money. It tends to be like from investments. It could be a stock that you placed like maybe 10 years ago that you've just been putting the little bits away, and all of a sudden it goes and blows up. Yeah, it could be Bitcoin, crypto, or something like that. I don't know. But with this as well, inheritance, you might get some unexpected money throughout the next 7 years from inheritance. I don't need to explain it. You know when you get inheritance, when somebody leaves you money when they leave this world. These sort of things could happen. It's very, very specific. Yeah, not everybody's going to have a death in their family that's going to lead them inheritance. That's pretty specific. You might find during this time that the darker sides of things you tend to be more interested in. Yeah, you might find yourself looking at topics like sex or the occult or magic with a K. Yeah, you might find yourself, oh, I'm actually quite interested in that. You might start to go down that route. One thing to watch out for here is debt. Like, you might, like with them unexpected money, you might get like a tax rebate, but not so nice side of this house is like you could maybe get the power and control could like come from debtors, yeah, controlling you. You might get that urge to break free from that debt, and you could have unexpected changes in that way. But just be careful that we're not going on the opposite of that and starting to take ourselves more debt, thinking that we're actually doing ourselves good to get out of these things. When it comes to debt, you might want to do like a money mindset training around this time to learn about debt and learn about assets and liabilities and all that. That would definitely be a good investment for you around this time. The eighth house is also to do with intimacy. So the way that you are intimate with another person, the sex that we were talking about in that darker topics, you might find yourself exploring the darker side of it. Yeah. Not so much like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. You might find yourself exploring the darker side. The more of your kinks and that sort of thing might come into it. Like, I can't even speak now. Like I said, watch out for contracts, debts, emotional finances here. If you're like in a relationship where you're just staying there because it's convenient and there's money and you don't need as much money and there's that control with finances, that could change throughout this time. So just be careful with that. You might find yourself resisting that kind of commitment around this time as well. Like, because Uranus wants to be free around, so you might resist things like that. Again, you know yourself if it's good for you, Scorpio. Like, if it's a good relationship, you've been with this person for 10 years, everything is good, and you want that commitment, then it has a good thing. But just be aware that you might feel a little bit of resistance to tying yourself down. But I would say you'll know if it's a good thing to do or not. And when it comes to your business, think about your offers with transformation. Yeah? Yes, you can have low ticket products that lead to the bigger transformation, 100%. But when it comes to your main offer, your signature offer, make sure the transformation is clear. Make sure that you are the offer. Look at your transformation here. Like, whether that be, even if you're a content creator and you're creating, like, what is your story? Talk about that. If you're a coach and you're creating an offer, then talk about, like, what's your story? Yeah? What's your story with this transformation? And make sure that your transformation is clear. This is A, this is B. This is where we started, this is where we finish. Scorpio, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to have a one-to-one with me or work together, I don't really do traditional readings. I tend to work with you where we'll deep dive into your chart, work through it together so we can come up with a plan to move forward. So if that sounds good, I'll leave the links in the description. If you are working through anything with your business and you want to maybe look at coaching, come speak to me on Instagram. But Scorpio, that is you for this one. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 7th house, the house of partnership, the house of relationships. Your one-to-one relationships is not always love, could be business, could be even close friends, any sort of one-to-one relationship. With Uranus going through here, there could be unexpected changes. There could be, if you're tied down in any way, shape, or form, you might feel yourself wanting to break free from these ties. Like I kind of said to Scorpio there, it's not about not having commitments during this time or not having them longer, deeper relationships. It's about making sure you've got the freedom in these deeper connections. Yeah, I don't even know if I said it that clear in the Scorpio reading. Anyway, it's about that's basically what I was getting at. Like, you need to have freedom here. It doesn't mean you can't have the commitment. You just need to make sure there's not that control dynamic. Yeah. I think as well, if you're single and you're looking for somebody, you're single and you're ready to mingle, there could be, you might find yourself going for the more eclectic, is that the right word? Eclectic taste? Like the weirder, the unusual, something totally different from what you've usually meant for around this thing. It could be like, oh, I usually go for the more athletic, whereas this time I'm going for the more geeky. I don't know. Like, just that sort of a thing could be a thing. You might go unexpected. It might be unexpected. You'll be like, whoa, I didn't really expect that. Like, why am I interested here? That sort of a thing could come up around this time. I think when it comes to business, collaboration is going to be the big thing for you. And it doesn't always mean that you're going to have a business partner. It could be more like working, if you're like a content creator, you maybe work with other creators that are going to help you have your breakthrough. Yeah, around this time. If you're a coach, you might start to do a workshop with another coach, and that gets you a little bit of a new audience who then join your bigger program. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to sign contracts and do all that. Could. That doesn't always mean that when I say collaboration. Could be like a short-term collaboration, but I think that could lead to breakthroughs for you, Sagittarius. The big thing here is more freedom. Yeah, is if you feel any control dynamics in a relationship, that's not going to last long. If you're the one doing the controlling, it's not going to last long either. Whereas if there's more freedom and less codependency and all that stuff, then relationships could do really, really well here. Again, you could resist commitment because you feel like it's tying you down. There could be, I don't want to, but you can still have freedom and be committed. Yeah, you'll know if the person is right. If it feels restrictive, if it doesn't feel expansive, if it feels tied in, then that's probably not a good thing. But if you have a relationship with a person or a business partner or anything like that makes you feel like you can grow here and makes you feel like you're for your own space and that'll work around this time. I think that's a really good thing. With Mercury ruling this, there could be that chance of contracts or things like that getting pulled up. Make sure all the I's and T's and all that stuff are done, but you might find that they come out of nowhere. Like you've been with this person or doing this thing or working with this for a lengthy period of time, and then all of a sudden you're like, we need to get this person a contract. We need to protect ourselves here. Or we've been together for a long time. Are we going to are we going to get married now? That sort of a thing could come out of nowhere. Yeah, like everything's smooth. Let's get a contract, or let's get married, or let's do this, or let's. And I would say I wouldn't fear it, but just do your due diligence. If I sign this contract, is it going to help? Yeah, is it really necessary? And does it, make sure you're reading it properly? Yeah, because there could be unexpected things. There could be things there that maybe. And the thing is, you've got to remember as well, other people feel this energy, Sagittarius. Other people, not just you. So that could be something unpredictable or unexpected for that person that they feel the need to get that little bit of extra security with a contract. And it's doing nothing to do with you. They've got this, something unexpected's cropped up and they need a little bit more security. So I wouldn't fly off the handles of a business thing that starts to throw contracts out around this time. Just do your due diligence. Make sure you're checking it. Make sure you're going through it and make sure you're not getting tied into something you don't want to be tied into. Yeah? Just do your due diligence. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Just remember, even them giving you the contract around this time might be because of some unexpected belief or unexpected or something for them. Yeah? Same with partners and relationships around this time. That person might have had something unexpected come their way. And they're like, okay, do you know what? I don't want to deal with this. I want to just be with this man, girl, whatever, woman. And I don't see myself wanting anybody else. I just want that little bit of security in this relationship now after this big thing. Yeah? Maybe, like I said, 8th house, if they're a Scorpio rising, they might have had an unexpected debt that has led to inheritance. And they're like, oh, I don't want to die alone, or that. Other things can happen with other people that make these things, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you, Sagittarius. It's just that time to evolve in a relationship, to the marriage, just do your due diligence with contracts. Okay, Sagittarius, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. I was just laughing because I'm going round in circles like I would typical Gemini. That is your Uranus, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini reading. If you want to book a one-to-one with me, I don't really call them readings, I call them intensives. So if you want to do that, come on, book an intensive. I'll leave all the links in the description. You can come and do that. If you want to look at coaching through your business or coaching through something, come and speak to me on Instagram. We can work out something for that. That's a more long-term thing. But Sagittarius, have an awesome week. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 6th house of your daily work, health, routines, habits, pets even. If you remember at the start of this video, my wee Malik, he's sitting down here. He sat there nice and quiet the whole video. I'm really proud of him. He made an appearance. So pets might come into this one as well. So the 6th house, for you, I can see new habits, new routines. These things you're going to adopt these throughout the 7 years. Guaranteed. Yeah, some way, shape or form that are going to boost your productivity. Yeah. What I would say with that is there might be some things that you might resist through your beliefs of being more maybe traditional. And you're like, that's a wee bit too out there. But Capricorn, Uranus is out there. Yeah, Uranus is the weird one. Uranus is quite eccentric at times. And these little things that you maybe would brush off, be a little bit more curious there. That's the best bit of advice here, because it could boost your productivity and make life a little bit easier for you. I think especially with Uranus having such a big thing to do with tech, these things could really help you. So with your business, for example, making sure you've got funnels, making sure you're using automations, making sure you're using email, making sure you're using all the tech that's available to you that make your life easier. Now, me rhyming off all these things to you might be like, whoa, what the hell? That's okay. Yeah? Don't just add a tech stack and hope for the best. You make sure you're doing it. Yeah? Be very structured, Capricorn. And it becomes easier to install tech and automations that actually work. The amount of times that I hear people say, oh, you need this automation or you need this thing, and they don't need it. But because it worked for one person, everybody thinks they need it. It's not like that. Yeah. There's some tech that is really going to help you get your life back. And that's what I'm all about, is helping business owners get their life back. There's tech that helps do that. There's automations that help do that. And around this time, when it's in your 6th house, is perfect. You might find yourself, if you're one that is constantly burning out a lot from your day-to-day routines, then you might get a little bit of a, okay, we need to do something about this around this time. You might feel like you need to break free from that. You might feel like it's time to move from that. And you start to actually do it. Yeah? Because you're going to, I think if you don't do it, Uranus will help you by taking things away. So I think around this time, you're going to break free from the cycle, repeating cycles of daily things that happen in your life that derail you. I think that could be a thing. However, with that boosting productivity and you thinking you can do more, you might actually fall into burnout more, which creates that cycle, which then you have to break the cycle throughout the 7 years. That could be a thing, because that's just going to cause more disruptions. And we did say that the pets was a thing here as well with this house. You might find yourself not going for a cat or a dog or like a bird, or you might go for the more a reptile or a capybara, or I don't know, something more exotic. Yeah, you might find yourself going for the more exotic pet, like, oh, everybody has a cat or everybody has a dog. Let's go and get a crocodile. It could be that sort of a thing around this time. With it being in Uranus, I think, again, if things feel weird or unexpected or like, why do I even want these things? I would lean into them. I'm not saying I have to like commit to them, but I would definitely lean into them and see, because they could be the thing that could bring you your next breakthrough. How is a pet going to do that? I don't know. It might. Maybe you create an Instagram page, the pet goes viral, and you end up getting brand deals left, right, and center. Who knows? Yeah. You don't know. Again, I say this a lot because I talk about manifestation, but you cannot come up with all the ways that the universe can bring things to you that you want. You can't. Our brains aren't capable. We know what we know. So why try? If you find yourself being attracted to something, or you find yourself, be curious. Be open-minded, Capricorn. Look into things. If you find yourself wanting a crocodile, plan it. See what works. Do that. Create that Instagram page. Massive brand deals, yeah. Anyway, I don't know anybody who's got a pet crocodile. For your business, like I said before, tech, is going to help you. Tech should support your life and your business to hold you and support you while you take that rest. Yeah? That's what I like tech for. So, Capricorn, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. If you want to book a one-to-one with me, I'll leave all the links in the description. Like I said, I don't do traditional readings. I do one where we deep dive together into your chart. Or if you want to deep dive into your chart for your business, we can look down that route as well. So, have an awesome week, Capricorn, and I'll see you in the next video. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for you. This is moving into, Uranus is moving into your 5th house, which is all about creativity, passions, your joy, the things that bring you pleasure. Also covers romance, like that dating sort of period. Maybe sex as well comes in here. Probably more here than the 8th house. So there's quite a wide range, but with Uranus coming in here, I think when it comes to romance, for romance especially, I think you might find yourself, what attracts you to people might change. The way you express yourself might attract different people to you, which you'll maybe see that this is a bit more unusual to what I'm used to. I've never been with this sort of a person before, and it might open your mind a little bit here, Aquarius, to make you go for that rather than what you traditionally go for. You might just find that the weirder ones maybe attract you, or if you normally go for somebody with that athletic build, you might find yourself going for somebody with the unathletic build and think, okay, this is different, but I like it. Like, this is, I'm gonna give this, I'm gonna get my inventor hat on, and I'm gonna go in there and see what I feel about this. And you might find yourself doing that throughout the next 7 years. And I would say the unexpected things like that, if you think that's noticeable, it's unexpected, that's maybe a sign from Uranus to maybe like, okay, let's look at this. Let's see how this goes. I think that could be more a thing when it comes to romance. And this could be in the bedroom too. Yeah, if you're in a relationship or the sexual side of things, you might be a little bit more adventurous, shall we say. You might find yourself like, oh, I want to do this when I've never really ever thought about it before. But that weirdness is maybe just that's an itch I have to scratch. You might get to that. That might be a thing as well throughout this time. I think for you, Aquarius, you need to embrace your quirks here. You need to embrace the things that make you that unique individual. Yeah? Because these things are going to make your creativity so much better. Yeah? Those weirdness, that Aquarius quirk, if you like, is going to be the thing that actually helps you with your creativity. And I think that is one thing, as much as Aquarius, this is a fellow air sign, I think you'll get a more positive from this transit, because you'll be trining with Uranus and Gemini. It'll be trining your ascendant. So I do think it'll be more positive, but just watch out for getting stuck in your head. Yeah? I know, Aquarius, you like to get in and get into all the nitty gritty and really be the researcher and pull things apart and recreate them. And I love that for you, Aquarius, but don't let it become your downfall. Yeah? Because these unexpected weird wee things, you don't need to dissect them. You just need to go with the flow. Be cool. Yeah? And I think that's one thing that if you can let yourself experience these things and you can embrace your quirks, the things that make you Aquarius, I think that'll be your reason to shine in the world. Yeah? Whether that be through creating content, documenting more of your life, instead of just getting stuck in your head and getting into the nitty gritty and the details and analysing everything, like, do a video on it and share your uniqueness and share your quirks and share all that stuff and let the world see it. Yeah? Because I think that could really be good for you around this time. I think as well, like when you're feeling, you need that space to fuel creativity. You need that space to do that. And if you're getting stuck in your head, that could be a thing here, Aquarius. So let's rise above it. Let's get past the head. Yeah, let's be the higher mind, not the one that's getting stuck in all the details and all the nitty gritty and overthinking and doing all that stuff. Now, you might feel a little bit restless during this transit, and you might find yourself starting projects and not finishing them. That's Gemini energy. Yeah, Gemini is very guilty of that. They start things and they don't finish them. Guilty is charged as a Gemini sun here. There's been a lot of things that, especially creative, that you'll start and you're maybe like, you'll go in gun-ho, and then eventually you'll be like moving on to the next thing. And I think that could be a thing for you as well around this time, Aquarius. Especially, we know you like to analyse and things, but that might just become like overanalysis, leads to paralysis. But when Gemini's got a thing and Uranus is there, it might be okay, but we're not going to sit stuck. We're going to keep moving. We're going to move on to the next thing. And we'll go again, get into analysis paralysis, and then get stuck and then move back and then do other things. And Gemini's a very bit much, they chase the shiny objects. So you might find yourself doing that around this time, so just watch out for that. Unpredictable in romance as well could be a thing here. Because it is new to you, I feel like you might, the things your taste might change. And because it's new, you might want to analyze because you don't feel safe, because you're like, I don't know, I've never done this before. This is a new kind of bedroom antic. This is a new kind of relationship. This is a new kind of partner. This is a new attraction. Yeah, you don't know. So because unpredictable in that, it can make romance feel a little bit unpredictable. And that's okay. Just make sure you're not getting stuck in your head with it and still vibrating at higher frequencies, I think, for you. But when it comes to your business, when it comes to content, when it comes to all this stuff, share your weird. Be the Aquarius and share it. Because that's going to be where you're going to attract your tribe that way. People will be glued to that. And it might make you, like, with your beliefs and stuff like that, we know, Aquarius, you hold on to some stuff, like, beliefs-wise. So, instead of, like, rally your tribe behind you. Yeah? Rally your tribe. Use that for good. And around this day, there might be points where you want to step out and form a tribe and be the leader of that tribe even. And that, I would say that's going to come from sharing your weird, sharing your uniqueness, sharing your authentic self, and expressing yourself authentically around this time. But Aquarius, that is your 5th house for the next 7 years. It's going to be a little bit unpredictable, a little bit unexpected, and a little bit, but whether you choose your reality here or whether you choose it's unstable or whether it's leading to breakthrough. And you could have breakthroughs in this area, Aquarius, whether that be in relationships, whether that be in dating, whether that be in creative projects, entrepreneurship, all that stuff. There's breakthroughs to be had over the next 7 years. But you have to choose to do it. Yeah? So Aquarius, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. If you want to book a one-to-one with me, I don't really do the traditional readings. I'm more, let's work on this together. Let's deep dive into your chart. Let's work it out. Let's get to the bottom of this. And then leave you with a plan that you can go and work through it. If that sounds good to you, then I'll leave all the links for all my stuff down in the description. But yeah, have an awesome week and enjoy Uranus and Gemini, Aquarius. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Horizon. For you, Uranus is moving into your 4th house of home, family, your inner security, which again is maybe one of the more difficult transits because it makes home life, it makes family life, it makes these sort of dynamics a little bit more unpredictable, unexpected, unstable maybe even at times. And because of that, you have 2 options here. You can go with the unstable and the disruptive and the chaotic, or you can work with Uranus and change what needs to be changed. Do the inner work to really build that sense of inner security through uncertain times. Yeah? And it is that kind of these sort of things are not going to be like black and white, like this is it. These are going to be subtle until you're just ignoring it, and then when something activates it, Uranus might take it away. So work with it. Yeah? Work with it. And I think if you work with these, the unexpected things could lead to the things that actually refresh that life at home. Yeah? Now, the 4th house is your physical home, your physical shelter, your shell, if you like. If you're the crab, you've got the shell and that's your home. Yeah? And you might find that you want to renovate. You might find that you want to move. But I don't think it's going to be, you're not going to move. If you're renovating, you probably maybe try something a little bit different. If you're like, no, I'll probably just do the same thing, try something different. Go with that thing that you've maybe thought, oh, that would be nice, but I just don't know if I could live with that, or I don't know. You're maybe just going through the motions. Like, be a little bit more curious there. Be a little bit more open-minded there, Pisces. When it comes to moving, you might move to somewhere where you never thought. Like, you all of a sudden, you might think, do you know what? Let's move to Thailand. We've been living in the UK for like all our lives. Like, well, let's do something crazy. Let's go and let's move to Thailand. The kids are grown. Why not? You could get something like that. Again, I think if you're getting that urge, I would say explore it. Yeah? Be curious. Be open-minded. Learn about it. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to run head first into it. Just take the information and go with it. That could become a thing. You might have to move unexpectedly around this time. Something could crop up that urges you to have to move. And that would be another thing to expect around this time. Again, expect the unexpected with Uranus. I think family dynamics. Watch out for power struggles. Watch out for things where you feel boxed in, where you don't feel like you've got your freedom in your family, where you don't feel like you've got your space in your home. These sort of things could create family struggles and family dynamic problems. So just watch out for that. On the other side of this as well, that sort of family conditioning that you've maybe grown up with throughout your life, that might come up as a way to like, let's break free from the things that are holding you stuck in family conditioning. Let's break free, let's liberate yourself here, Pisces, so you can move on, so you can move to the next stage in your life. Let's free yourself from these old patterns that have held you back. These things might come up around this time as well. It does mean that with all this stuff going on, there could be that little bit of unpredictability at home. There could be a little bit of disruption to security. Things are unexpected. Again, like I said to a lot of the signs, work with it. Don't wait until it's crunch time. Don't leave it to the last minute. Work with it. Go with the subtle little things. Because the subtleties, they're much smoother. Yeah? It's when Uranus is like last chance saloon, or I'm taking it away. That is very much like the bits before that, it's a lot smoother. Work with that so that by the time it gets there, you're like, okay, let's do it. We're good for it. Yeah? But if you just, it is unpredictable, it is disruptive. But again, you can work with it. Yeah? And I think one thing around this time to watch out for, especially at home, does home feel like home? Yeah? You could even think about, like, with your business, you could maybe think about, okay, how can I make my business feel like home around this time? You might find that you feel drawn to that around this time. And what does at home mean to you? I think that could be the thing for you. Does it involve being tied down? Because if it does, then you might feel yourself breaking away from that belief throughout the next 7 years. All these sort of things, and then bringing that home to business. Yeah? Like, I think as the world has evolved and the internet has evolved and stuff, like, the world is getting smaller, if you like. Like, I know from looking at my analytics that a lot of Americans watch my channel. Yeah? I love you all. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And it's kind of like, okay, how can I make these people feel at home in my content? How can I make these people feel at home when they encounter me? And like, I think the world with the internet and stuff like that gives you the opportunity to make home feel like a bigger environment. Yeah. So you can bring everybody into home. Yeah. I probably murdered that, but that's, yeah. Make business feel like home. Make home feel like home. I think that's where you're going throughout this time, Pisces. Pisces, that is your Uranus and Gemini. Pisces, that is your Uranus and Gemini reading. If you want to book a one-to-one with me, I'll leave all the links in the description. I don't do traditional readings as such. They're more of a deep dive with you and me working together,
where we'll interpret your chart together, and we can do that, or we can work on getting you a plan to actually move your business forward. If you want to work more one-to-one with me and over a longer time, then come and speak to me on Instagram and we can look at coaching. But yeah, have an awesome transit with Uranus, and I will see you in the next video.